That is for you.
Thank you.
Glass of wine, stageoflove.com.
That Stagey Blog meets Andrew Keates.
Finally!
And it rhymes.
Stagey Blog meets Andrew Keates, yeah.
There you go.
I've wanted to do this for ages.
I'm
I've
not
watched all your
the
videos.
first creative I've selected to interview.
I can't believe this.
Yeah, you are. It's been performance.
So you
Although do you still class yourself as a performer? 'Cause that's where you started.
Well, yes, not really. Not really. When I was a kid, I certainly loved acting. There's no such thing as a directing course.
No.
So my thing then, back when I would go to rehearsals on horses and things, the world was black and white. No, I trained as an actor, but there was no such thing as a director's course. So, I trained for 6 years for my sins, which nobody should do, at Malview in Guildford, in a place in New Forest called Brockenhurst. And I think what makes me a useful director is understanding the actor's process.
Yeah.
And rather than saying to an actor, as I've seen some directors say, pick up the pace, love, well, that doesn't mean anything to an actor. You say to an actor, look, can we play this scene again? And no, you've got to get out that door in 5 minutes. That note will resonate, and it's always finding a language for the actor.
Yeah, and obviously it informs your perspective as a director and your vision, I guess.
Yeah, the vision thing's interesting. There's always things like, you've got to do what the director's vision is, and actually for me it's more about facilitating the truth with the actor, finding a way to make sure that always what we're doing, whether it's a musical, whether it's a play, whether it's anything else, that it comes down to just making sure that the right questions are asked, and it's not being prescriptive as a director. I know lots of actors get tired of directors, stand there. And no wonder so many actors can hate directors, rather than just play. It's always about play. And when it comes to the vision, of course I have an overall sort of idea in my head, but never when it comes to casting. That's always about what the actor brings. I'm a bit of a geek when it comes to lighting design and sound design and technical elements, but that's a different conversation I have with a lighting designer or a sound designer.
And where does that come from? So when you're given a script, does it start to come alive in your head as soon as you start to read it?
The good ones do.
Right.
The good ones do. It's no different. It's like when I was a kid. When I was a kid, my big thing was I didn't see any gay people in the popular media that were like me. So they weren't on television, they certainly weren't in film, and if they were either victims or they were comedic. And so it's no shock that I would seek out my role models and my stories in the likes of plays, and indeed science fiction. And it was science fiction. Funny enough, it was reading the plays of Martin Sherman and Tennessee Williams and Bill Hoffman, Oscar Wilde, that these sort of morality plays, these reflections of injustice, were then very similar to when I put on an episode of Star Trek. And looking at aliens, for example, that would have one side of their face black and the other white, and then the complete opposite, and learn the whole day's a morality play about racism, just with a fantastical context. So it's no wonder that when I was playing as a boy in theatre, the stuff I started in was Shakespeare, which is the same thing. A fantastical context, so it means that you can talk about something far closer to home, but because it's set in fair Verona, therefore we don't attribute it to England, so there's a freedom to talk about things that maybe it wouldn't have been able to do if it was set in England.
So coming on to sci-fi.
Sci-fi, yes!
And you're currently working on Dark Sublime.
Yeah.
Tell me about it. So what is this play about?
What is this play about?
How would you sum it up?
How would I sum it up? I think it's easier to say that I've been probably working on this play since I was about maybe 11 or 12. People are going to think that's a very long rehearsal process. I was fat, I was gay, I was growing up in fucking Tory Bournemouth under Section 28, and because there was a lack of role models and my love of sci-fi and literature and poetry and all the pain I was feeling as a young gay kid growing up then, of course I ran into plays and sci-fi, etc. Loved it. The idea of a future that was good. and indeed old British sci-fi, where you just had these amazing sort of British theatre actors who at the time were doing the play of the day, they were at the National Theatre, they were at the RSC, and then they'd do an episode of Doctor Who. And their performances were as full-bodied and committed, and perhaps now we look back at them, we think, oh, that's a bit over the top. But those actors were working at a time where we didn't have the same understanding of acting for camera that we do today. Anyway, watching Doctor Who and Star Trek and all of these things, and growing up, I loved sci-fi so much that I sought out, as a little Andrew Keates, where my mum could just pack me off for an afternoon, which she was thrilled about, to a sci-fi society. And it was through growing up with these extraordinary people. People think geeks when they hear sci-fi, but genuinely growing up in this sci-fi society, I would meet, barristers and doctors and computer programmers. I remember the first time I saw a DVD player was a friend of mine brought it in who was at that event, and DVD players weren't even for sale in the UK then. And through that sci-fi society, I got to meet all of my sci-fi heroes, because they would do conventions and do evenings with, and over those years as I grew older and older and older, I would say to these actors from Star Trek and Doctor Who and whatever, I want to be a director. And they would sit and listen, oh, tell me. Because the one thing they didn't want to talk about was Doctor Who or Star Trek. Fast forward, I go to drama school, as I mentioned earlier, 6 years, and thanks to the, I don't want to say success I've had, but thanks to where I'm at the moment as a director, I've got a lot of mates who are in the current sci-fi shows. So I went back to those people, they still run the convention that I was a part of, and I said, you invested in me so much, you listened to me, you gave me responsibility, how can I help you? So I would bring friends like Annette Badland or Sean Pertwee or Dino Fetcher or lots of other actors I was working with as their special guests. We'd raise a load of money for the charity, and it was my way of sort of giving back. But what's been lovely is, from having that childhood, to have so many of what me as a little boy would have been aghast to me, I've now got on my phone. There's one actor from Star Trek who's currently sleeping on my sofa back home at the moment. And there are moments where I go, oh shit, it's such and such, whilst I'm making him a bacon sandwich. So that's my background. Lo and behold, it's one of my birthdays. Fast forward to my 31st, 32nd birthday, whatever it was. Mark Gatiss, who was a friend who wrote Sherlock, came down the stairs, sort of outstretched, looking a bit like Richard III, and went, I brought you a card. And I said, right, thank you. You look like you're in a bit of pain, Mark. He said, yes, I've just slipped on some ice. I said, well, go home, or go to a doctor's, look after yourself. He said, before I go, I've read this wonderful play. And it's called Sublime, and it's by Michael Dennis. I said, oh, send it to me, because if Mark recommends you to read a play, you do. And he said, it's about a veteran sci-fi actor who befriends a young gay fag. And I immediately went, oh, yeah, I'll read it. I read it, I was laughing by the first page, and it follows the story of a young gay guy who seeks out one of his sci-fi heroes, takes her to a convention, and fundamentally, in answer to your question, is about older gay women and this thing of fandom and science fiction from so many perspectives. From the perspective of the fan, meeting his hero, from the actor that's from a show back in the 1970s, her best friend who wants nothing to do with science fiction, her new girlfriend, which is changing the dynamic, and of course these moments from the actual show. So our show is set around a fictitious series called Sublime, which is very much inspired by Blake Seven, Doctor Who, Sapphire and Steel, and after that moment, I was with a friend of mine looking after him at a convention, and I meet Marina Sirtis, who is our leading lady, lives in LA, and she'd said to me that she wanted to do a play with me, and when I sent it to her, my phone rang, and it was really early. I was like, hello? And all I heard was, it's my life. I went, hello, you read it then? Did he write it for me? And she went, Andrew, it's my life. it is my life. And I said, yeah, there's a bit of mine in there too. And lo and behold, from that moment, year and a half, I approached the best producers I thought who would do this properly, which was Jamie Chapman-Dixon, who in turn reunited me with John Webb Carter, who I worked with when I used to run the Landor Theatre, Piers Poppy Jones, who is one of the most exciting young producers out there, and has actually turned into one of my best mates doing this for a year and a half, and Mitchell Green, who's very closely associated with the Actors Centre. And we have been working with Marina for a year and a half, putting the show together and putting an amazing cast together. I'm back at Trafalgar Studios. This is my third show at Trafalgar Studios. And I think what's amazing about all of this is the playwright Michael Dennis, who has an infinitely more comprehensive understanding of TV shows from the 1970s and 80s in a wonderful way. This is his first play, and when I read it, I had to speak to his agent, Dan at United. I said, what else has he done? And he went, no, this is his first play. And Michael has spent, 20 odd years working as a stage manager. And when I asked him about this play, he said, well look, the best jobs I've ever had have been when I've been working with older women.
Yeah.
And it's easy for us to obsess now about it being a sci-fi show, and I can talk about all the references, but at the heart, it's a play about older gay women, and lo and behold, they haven't got any issues. They're not women talking about the problems with men, as every other play seems to be. It is a refreshing story that is very funny about getting older, being gay, being a woman.
And it's quite rare, isn't it? Because obviously, apart from Absolute Joy as a playout, I've not seen many actresses portrayed as older gay women.
Yeah. Well, not only that, just having a lesbian play.
Yeah.
A lesbian play seems like a dodgy thing to say. I mean, Paul O'Grady always makes the joke in his old stand-up routine, but he thought the lesbians were called niffins because his mum could never say it. This is a lesbian play.
Yes.
That has the backdrop of science fiction, and it's about women who are not in their 20s but are in their 50s and late 60s. And they're brilliant. And amongst that, we have, I don't mind saying, a young actor called Kwaku Mills, and Kwaku hates it when I say this, but is the most exciting young actor I've ever discovered in an audition. He left RADA recently. He did the national tour of Good Dog to rave reviews. This is his West End debut. Obviously there's Marina Sirtis from Star Trek The Next Generation, which is amazing, her bringing her life into this.
But going on back to that emerging talent, you've got quite a knack and quite an eye for extracting these. If we talk about specifically with Trafalgar Studios, you mentioned Dino, who you worked with there, and also before that, you worked with Cassidy Johnson.
And some girl, what was her name?
Cynthia,
something or another. Cynthia Erivo, yes.
That's the one.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to her.
Don't know.
I don't know if it's I just like talent.
Yeah,
and
you obviously can spot it.
I hope so.
At an early stage.
I hope so. I mean, I was fortunate on this to have Harry Blumenthal as a casting director. It's our first time working together on this. I don't know, I just like truth, and in an audition, the most important thing for me is setting up company, and anything that is bitchy or snide is cancerous. So I look for proper professionals who are going to come in. We can have, a really productive, playful day of rehearsal, and then at the end, leave, have our lives, sit at home, and come back in and be ready to work. That's important. But also humility, to be able to go, fuck that, didn't I? Yeah, go and do it again. And to have a freedom in the room. I don't run a particularly authoritative rehearsal room. And when I'm auditioning, it's more important for me to find a family, a company. I guess it just comes down to taste, I suppose. Some people can be a bit obsessive about casting names. It's never really been my bag. Because a name might help sell you tickets up until the moment of opening the show. Well, if you've got shit celebrities, once it's open, then you've got the reviews to deal with, and the reviews hang around a damn sight longer. So I just cast talent, and I have a real passion for making sure that I'm casting actors that we don't get to see on our stages very often. And my production company, Arian Productions, is dedicated to telling stories about people that we don't get to hear about very often. So whether that be the American Antebellum South, which was Desirose with Cynthia and Cassidy, that was a response to UKIP on the rise. So I said, fine, let's do a play about racism and see how well that worked for America historically. As is an AIDS play. The White Federate Union was about post-traumatic stress disorder in the First World War and homosexuality during the First World War. As Is was about AIDS and the power of the gay community. And I was very conscious, and I've always been conscious, to try and quite early on, and I think it comes from being a gay guy, growing up, not seeing myself represented. It's why I have this affinity. Chinglish was another one. It's important to me that British East Asians don't just play dodgy DVD salespeople and are asked to do these often offensive portrayals of British East Asians. And now when I read this, gay women, yeah, it was about time. And it's good, and it's funny. My cast are amazing. And we're just having the best time.
So you're the third week into rehearsals.
Yeah.
And how's it going?
Terrible film. Absolutely terrible. It's great. It's great. I laugh every day, cry every day.
New things that you...
Yeah. Every day. And the thing with me is, there are things I obviously know, there are nuggets that I know some of the actors haven't quite got yet.
Yeah.
But if I give you 25 notes, you're going to hate your life. But at the end of the rehearsal, if you've got 5 key things to go home and work on, that'll sort those 5 things out, and then we find the next layer, and the next layer. And it's just about being gentle with your actors, being playful, and allowing them to discover it, rather than going, oh, there's that bit there, you've got to do that. That doesn't help an actor. But if I can whisper a question in your ear and go, there's that moment there, think about this, just at the end of the day. And then you see them look at you and go, and they come in the next day and magic happens.
What do you hope an audience is going to take away from this show?
Loads of tickets. I'd like them to take loads of tickets away so I can do Dark Sublime for the rest of my life. Loads of merchandise. I'd like the producers to be rich, so that I spend the next 5 years taking Dark Sublime all over the world, because I want the world to see it. What do I want them to take away from it? Not to discount older women. I want to fill Trafalgar Studios with lesbians who have spent most, like as gay men, you know, we watch adverts on television about the straight couple that have the toothpaste in an advert, and then the straight couple that take their dog out walking, and then we watch EastEnders, and the gay character has often got some trouble, and then all the other straight characters have a great time. I just want to embrace the fact that the empathy you can have with gay characters don't have to be men with washboard abs holding each other to go, you know, we're doing a gay play, look how sexy we are, and vulnerable. Actually, mine's funny, it's about space, it's about science fiction, the cast is outrageous, and it's deeply touching. And if I was to say what Dark Sublime fundamentally is about, the tagline is Dark Sublime, a comedy about time and space. And the time and space is a pun on relationships. And what that universal thing is to be lonely, and our need to be adored, and sometimes our need to be alone, and unrequited love. And I think that's pretty universal. Just it's going to be nice to see that played from the perspective of 50 to 60-year-old gay women. And we don't have enough of that, I don't think.
We don't, absolutely not.
And Sophie Ward, who's in my cast, I can't believe, I'm going to have Sophie Ward in this cast, which is just amazing. You know, Sophie Ward and I were talking about the diva power list, you know, 100 lesbians, the influential lesbians. I remember Sophie saying to me, look, before, it was hard enough to get 30. You know, because gay women didn't necessarily come out, they were told not to. And the amount of people in the media that are gay women that the public just don't know about is amazing. But yeah, it's wonderful. It runs for 6 weeks. Me and the producers and everyone involved, we have been at conventions all over the place, from Nottingham to Southampton, obviously London, events, partnerships that we've built.
And how's that been?
Amazing!
Little Andrew Keates.
Yeah, I'll get back to being a kid.
Life.
Yeah, me and Piers sat in a DeLorean Hanging out with Buffy's mum, and and there's a lot of actors, for example, who do these conventions that I know anyway.
Yeah.
So it's been more interesting for the producers being like, who is that?
Yeah.
And you say, oh, that's such and such. Oh, right, great. But also it's just nice. I mean, Marina, who isn't quite that age. Marina is 64 years old. But I think the public have an image for her as Councillor Deanna Troi from Star Trek The Next Generation, which is from the 80s and 90s. Marina is now 64. She is not half Betazoid. She doesn't wear jumpsuits anymore. She's been in Hollywood movies, and this is her West End debut. And at 64 years old, I think any actors out there going, am I ever going to get my break? Marina got her West End break at 64. And I'm really proud of her.
How's she feeling? Is she apprehensive? Have you spoken to her about it?
She's smoking a bit more.
Right.
How is she feeling? She says, I'm nervous, I'm terrified, but I'm excited, is what she would say. And she's really good. She trained at Guildhall. People think, oh, is she just a telly actor? She trained at Guildhall. She was a rep actress. She's given her Ophelia, which is even a line in the play, which I love. She's worked hard, and she's worked pretty consistently in America. But she has been a Brit alone in America with her husband. And I think she's got a longing to come back home because, and no offence to my American friends, there is nowhere else in the world that does theatre better than London, in my opinion. Well, England, not discounting our fabulous regional theatres. But England, if there's one thing England does, it's theatre. And that's always been Marina's first love. But again, it's that dichotomy. This is in the play. People who did these sci-fi shows, they have these fans who keep them in a sort of frozen hourglass. They're forever these people from the 80s and the 90s, and they're not anymore. And actually, America can be a bit judgmental. They go, oh, but you're a Councillor Troi. No, that was 34 years. I can play other things. And yeah, I'm just thinking, Jacqueline King is a good example. She's in this cast. Jacqueline had 8 years of Alan Ayckbourn at the Stephen Joseph Theatre. She had been in Doctor Who. She can't remember a damn thing about it. She was doing an interview the other day, and somebody said, can we just talk about Doctor Who? And she went, darling, I don't know anything about Doctor Who. All I know is I was Catherine Tate's mum. And actually, Jacqueline was a theatre artist through and through. She's done the National, she did Lost Tennessee Williams, and she's really rather spectacular in this. But a Doctor Who fan will probably come and see this, like a sci-fi fan will see Marina, possibly the first time they've ever been in a theatre. And I'll see Simon Thorp, who plays our sci-fi character that we see. And Simon's CV is 4.5 pages, most of which are the RSC. So there's no sort of stunt casting in this. There's lots of burrowing from our lives, sort of pumping the heart of this thing Michael Dennis has made. Laughter, I think, serving the gay community, and I love that we're open during Pride. And relishing the actors in the time of the 1970s and 80s with this is such a love letter to those times and those great actors from those amazing TV shows, those amazing British TV shows.
So mine is on, when does it start?
It starts, memory, 25th of June to the 3rd of August. We play Monday to Saturday evenings. We do matinees on Thursdays and Saturdays. Also, the great thing about Trafalgar Studios, it's why I like to work there so much. It's fully accessible for wheelchair users. There is things like the hearing loop system, guide dogs are welcome. We are doing 2 BSL signed performances, which we think is important. There's also a relaxed performance. This is the very first relaxed performance Trafalgar Studios has ever done.
That's fantastic. That's incredible to think that
That's the producers. I've got to give credit to, that's Trafalgar Entertainment and the producers, and our thing of going, look, if we're going to create a piece of theatre, let's make it accessible to all. Yeah. The only thing we're not doing is Mother and Baby, and that is simply because of space for buggies and things. If we had the space, we would do it. But it's on Traf's awareness list, and hopefully that's something that can change. But yeah, it's that, and there's Q&As, there's loads of ways to get involved with the show, and we just want to reach everyone and share this lovely, lovely piece.
It sounds incredible.
Thank you.
I look forward to it.
You're going to be there.
I'm going with. I can't wait.
When this comes off, I'll let you into a couple of secrets. And if you want to check out more, there's loads of endorsements and videos. Go to darksublimeplay.com. Follow us on Twitter at darksublimeplay. There's loads of videos of just all these amazing sci-fi stars endorsing the show, people getting involved. We've got fans coming from Texas, which is insane. Like, we've got these selfies coming in from Texas and China, Germany, all these people travelling from all over the world because lesbians and geeks they've never really been portrayed.
No.
Lesbians a bit different, but lumping them all in the same category, there's so many people that have never been authentically represented. And till now, with this just amazing cast, and you're going to love it. Are you a sci-fi? Well, you must be a sci-fi geek because of your Harry Potter stuff.
Exactly.
Back of Harry Potter's head, everyone.
I was mad about Star Trek Next Generation.
No.
Yeah,
Did you fanboy a bit when you saw Marina?
A little bit.
Did you?
Did I keep it cool?
Yeah, you did.
Hi.
Hi, Phil Stage Blog. Well, we must set this up with Marina then. You must have a chat.
No, I think we'll chat to her later in the run when she's settled in a bit. I think now's a bit too much. I don't want to freak her out.
No. We'll see you after the show.
Well, I don't want to freak out either.
Lovely stuff.
Because I will. Well, thank you. It's been a pleasure.
See you soon, love. Kiss, kiss. Nice to see you.